Okay, it wouldn't be DISLYTE if we didn't have one game-breaking bug every single patch. This time, the game-breaking bug is going to be on meta Drew, and specifically for the shadow bosses. So the game-breaking bug is going to be Drew's S1. If you've noticed, he will land some of the attribute down on the boss whenever he triggers his S1, which shouldn't happen because the shadow bosses is, well, they're bosses, right? And if you look at the description for Drew's S1, if the target is a boss, their attributes will not be reduced. You will still give your allies the 100 attack and defense, but the boss will not reduce their stats. You might be asking, 100 defense is not really that much, but keep in mind you can stack this infinitely. So if you do it enough times, it's going to be somewhat of a defense break or even a defense ignore if you do it enough times, right? But it usually does not go until you can ignore 100% defense, but it is still good enough that it is the best strategy for Shadow Gale right now, because in the shadow bosses you cannot land defense break. Even reducing the boss's defense by like maybe 1,000 if you proc Drew's S1 10 times, that's already really good, because 1,000 defense is much better than what you would get from running Ggez. So this is the reason why Drew is completely broken for Shadow Gale right now. A lot of people have been running him, and this is 100% a bug, so I would advise you to not use this. Your score is 100% going to get reset once the devs are aware of this. This is a little bit different from the Yukine incident. The Yukine one is not a bug, it is an oversight 100%. With the Yukine incident, the devs just weren't aware that we have a relic that can give us a chance to freeze, right? And with Yukine's R2, you just need to attempt to freeze. You don't even need to freeze the enemy to get the buff, right? Which is why it's not a bug, it's an oversight. And the solution or the response from the dev team was to nerf the set instead of fixing a quote-unquote bug, right? Which is the Yukine incident. But for this one, it is 100% a bug because Meta Drew should not be reducing the boss's defense, which is the reason why this team is getting a really good score. You're not running Ggez, you're losing a lot of damage increase because Meta Drew, even at level 1, is not dying enough times for you to rack up like 50% damage increase. You can at most get like 20%, which is way lower than what you would get from running Ggez, but it's still better because of the sort of like a defense break with his S1, right? There's one thing I want to talk about. I feel like they are deliberately leaving these bugs in the PTR server to go into the live server because maybe they're trying to sell a unit that may not be as good as they are. Like for example, Yukine, right? A lot of people go for Yukine because of the bug, because of how good she is in Desolate Lands, right? Because of the devs' oversight that the Snow Dowager set was working in Shadow Bosses. And with Meta Drew, it clearly says in his S1 that it does not reduce the stats of the boss, and yet here we are reducing the stats of the boss. The Shadow Bosses, it's in the name, the Shadow Bosses. And we're reducing the stats of the Shadow Bosses. That is insane. Oh no. No, I don't want to win. No, I don't want to win. Can I exit before I... No, my Drew is level 2. Okay, he's not level 2, that's good. Yeah, I feel like they are deliberately leaving these bugs in the game. And then after the unit is gone, you cannot get the unit anymore, they will fix the bug, just like Yukine. So yeah, if you take a look at the leaderboard right now, rank 1, my guildmate is also running the Meta Drew with 600 million. Let's take a look at the previous one. 400 million, 500 million. And now we went up by like 200 million. And yeah, a lot of other players as well are using Meta Drew. Alright, let me just show you against Dark Starlord, another boss. This one, it doesn't work because it is considered as a boss. And instead it will show you immunity instead of attribute down. So I don't know why for shadow bosses they are prone to the attribute down for whatever reason. And again, if you think like Meta Drew is doing really well for this team because of his burden of duat stacks, that is 100% not the case, because your DPS, in this case being Elif, has a shit ton of shield, right? Let me just show you one more run. Your DPS has a shit ton of shield, and when you have shield, you cannot get the burden of duat stacks. You need to exhaust all of your shield and take damage without having shield on you in order for you to get the burden of duat stacks. So in most cases, my Elif will have 0 stacks of burden of duat, and maybe some of my supports will get the burden of duat stacks, which is pretty much useless, right? Because the burden of duat stacks only gives me accuracy, which is useless here, resist, which is also useless, and crit damage, which again, for supports, they're not really going to make much use of crit damage buff. Alright, so let's take a look at the Burden of the Odds stacks. My Elif has absolutely none. Clara has 0 as well because she is giving shield to my entire team. Sakura will also have 0 at all times because she will have this floral barrier, which is also a form of shield, so she cannot get damaged. Xuanpin has 0. Meta Drew has 5 because he dies. Whenever an ally dies and revives, they will get full stacks of the Burden of Duat. And lastly, my Sachiko will also have 0 as well. So in no way, shape or form that he is carrying the team through the Burden of Duat stacks. It is just purely the bug on his S1. And the additional stats that he steals and gives to your allies will only go to him because the targeting on his S1 will always target the ally with the most Burden of Duat stacks, which is always going to be Meta Drew himself, because when he dies, he gets 5 stacks instantly and his S1 will always go to him. So this is 100% a bug. So again, if you have Meta Drew, don't use it because your score is going to get reset and you're going to have to redo your best average again. So yeah, that's about it. Ciao.